Zombie U, a game originally released as a launch title for the Wii U all the way back in 2012, was received genuinely quite well. I remember playing this game many years ago and fell in love with its survival horror gameplay elements, although being a lot younger, I found this quite difficult, and with a lot less patience than what I have nowadays, I never actually completed the game. When in 2015 Ubisoft released a ported version under the name Zombi for PC, Xbox and PS4, and you've probably guessed already by the title, but nearly 10 years later we are going to be finally completing Zombi on the PS4 and getting its platinum trophy. Now, in case you guys are interested, PSN Profiles rates this difficulty a 6 out of 10 with a minimum of 3 playthroughs and around about 24 hours to complete. To get this platinum trophy, I've broken it down into a few steps to use as a guideline throughout the journey. Step 1 is to complete the game on standard mode while aiming to complete all of the miscellaneous trophies along the way. Step 2 is to complete the game on chicken mode, and during this stage I'll get any trophies that I missed going through my first playthrough. And finally, step 3 will be to finish the game on survival mode, unlocking our final trophy and getting that lovely platinum. Anyway guys, with the intro out of the way, let's start this video. We begin the game as one of the many randomly generated survivors, and we are currently running through the tube station trying to avoid the zombie horde. While making our way through, we are guided to safety by a mysterious voice, where we eventually get to a safe house, and believe it or not, we actually unlock our first trophy already.
I would say it's only a nightmare, but isn't everything?
The mystery voice man reveals himself to be known as the Prepper and goes on to explain to us how he was informed of the infection, which is how he's managed to survive, and urges us to take his advice. We then power up the safe house as well as picking up our Prepper pad, which is what we will use to view the map and keep in contact with the Prepper. He then directs us to the last person who never took his advice, and we proceed to steal his cricket bat, kill him with it, and take his bob, unlocking our second trophy of the game.
Good going.
The Prepper then explains to us that he has eyes everywhere and tasks us with repairing some CCTV junction boxes in Brick Lane. The junction boxes also reveal the map, and there are many of these scattered throughout the world, and we will need to locate and repair all of them for a trophy, so we will be working towards that as we are making our way through the game. We head towards Brick Lane, repair our first junction box, and while heading towards the second, we unlock the headshot trophy for, you guessed it, getting a headshot with a gun. And we then make our way into the supermarket and unlock the Let's Go Shopping trophy.
Those poor coppers were probably...
And for any of you that don't live in the UK and are wondering what UK supermarkets look like, this is not what they look like, but they do get an A for an effort. We eventually get the second CCTV box and then make our way back to the safe house. While making our way back to the safe house, we come across our first special infected, and all I have to say is, special? Ha! What a joke.
Get out of there!
We eventually dealt with him though, and we also use a Molotov to kill our first zombie and unlock the Burninated trophy. We finally get back to the safe house, have a little snooze, and then the Prepper tells us that Horde is incoming and we have to defend the safe house. This section was just like 5 minutes of little to no effort in zombie killing, and although it makes sense for your safe house to come under attack from a zombie horde, it feels like this was just used as a filler quest to stretch the game out that little bit longer, rather than actually using it to build on the story. After defending the safe house, however, we then proceed to make our way towards Buckingham Palace, with our only entrance point being through the royal bunker. While making our way there, we get the Unbreakable trophy for reaching a survivor score of 2,000 points. We eventually discover that the mightiest defences and the strongest of locks is preventing us from getting into the bunker. To solve that issue, we find a lockpicking tool, but before we can use it, are swarmed by a horde of zombies. It was going pretty well. We killed a bunch of them, we unlocked the Outbreak trophy for killing 50 zombies. But then, the unspeakable happened. Our brave survivor was a survivor no more.
How dare you go and die on me!
We are reborn again as a new survivor. We kill the previous one, get our stuff back, and finally get through the gate, giving us access to Buckingham Palace and unlocking another trophy. After getting inside the palace, we come across Dr. Knight, the royal doctor. He tells us that he is working on a cure for the outbreak and asks us to help him. We silently agree and he tasks us with finding D's letters, with the first being De Remedy Secreti. We begin exploring the palace itself. It's absolutely trashed and it's filled with zombies, so making my way through the section took a bit longer than I thought. I had to make sure I didn't get overrun with the zombies, and as there were a few special infected lurking about, I couldn't risk them being on top of me as well as the normals. None of that actually mattered though, as I died anyway.
What's happening? Talk to me!
I'm dead, bro. That's what's happening. Chill out. Thankfully though, doing this allowed me to explore a little bit more, and I found a crossbow, and while going through this section I ended up getting a kill with it, unlocking the crossbow kill trophy. We eventually find the letter that the doctor was after, and while making our way back to him we find the XL Bob and unlock the expanded backpack trophy. We return to the doctor, where it seems to be that he is infected and he is injecting himself with a temporary vaccine until he can make the permanent solution. That, or he should maybe find a different doctor. He gives us our own little syringe that allows us to take zombie blood from specific zombies and use it as a way to prevent a zombie from grabbing us, which, to be fair, really does come in clutch at times. He then tasks us with finding another book and tells us that we can find it at Ron Friedman's flat in Brick Lane. We make our way towards the apartments, and while doing so we have to cut through an old warehouse which, like the palace, is filled with zombies. For the most part this wasn't too difficult, and while making my way through I found a shotgun which I immediately picked up and proceeded to ignore for a decent portion of the game. We eventually end up in the basement of the flats and use the elevator to get to Ron's floor. Immediately after stepping out though, you know that you're in for a good time.
Damn it. Ron's flat's on the next floor up. You have to find an air duct and crawl your way upstairs.
I used this as a perfect opportunity to practice my throwing skills and proceeded to blast some meat to the beat. We continue through the apartments and eventually come across a not very alive Ron Friedman. We open his safe and find the second book, D's Studium Contagion. With the zombies now inbound, we proceed to make our escape and take out the trash like we really are. We eventually make it back to the doctor and give him the book. He tells us that the possibility of a cure is strong and asks us again to help him out. Now we have to find all 7 of D's letters scattered around the explorable world, but there's a catch. He doesn't know where they are and we have to find them by ourselves. Luckily the safe house lets us check all of the CCTV that we've repaired, and if there's a letter in that area, it will tell me. Back at the safe house, the prepper tells us of a man named Colonel Waverley and tasks us with finding him at his military camp and gathering some supplies. We eventually reach the camp and find the colonel dead on the floor. We decide to loot his corpse because after all he isn't going to need anything. We take his keycard and then get our hands on one of D's letters as well as some C4. Upon making our way out we come across a woman named Sondra who warns us that we are exposed and we need to keep moving. Now I found this part particularly annoying, especially on survivor mode, but we'll get to that later. There's an absolute crap ton of zombies to contend with. You've got suicidal zombies, you've got water that slows you down and prevents you from using any weapons, and yes, I did die while going through here the first time.
Shite. Too late.
We eventually clear the zombies and use our C4 to blast some rubbish covering an entrance to the sewer. After heading through the sewer and around the pier on the other side, we eventually reach the Tower of London and unlock another trophy.
Time to break out some C4.
And at this point I was greeted by a lovely jump scare that actually made me panic. Oh, okay, get off me son. Here you go, take some of this. I do not have enough health to be messing around with you. No thank you. We then made our way through a flooded section, which, can I just say, I absolutely hate. It's dark, the sound of the water makes it hard to hear the zombies, and it doesn't take long before you've got 3 or 4 zombies chasing you down a narrow path. My heart is like literally racing in fear right now just thinking about this section. We eventually make it through the tunnels, get our hands on an upgrade for our prepper pad, and make our way up to the roof where Sandra asks us to help her clear the landing zone so they can prepare for evac. We fight our way through a fairly decent amount of zombies, which didn't really give me an issue. What turned out to be the bane of my existence though was gravity. You see, we eventually come to a hole that we need to drop down in order to progress. Unfortunately for me though, I didn't have a lot of health and I didn't have anything to heal myself with, and it turns out that this fall was too much for our survivor, and we broke both his legs and he died. We then see a cutscene where the helicopter isn't able to land and is taken down, making all of that effort and heartache of losing my stuff completely worthless. I originally thought that this happened because I died, but on later runs like the chicken run, I discovered that this just happens anyway, so cheers game for making me lose my shit. We head back to the safe house and the prepper proceeds to rub in our face that he told us we shouldn't have helped, and that's why we are in the position that we are in now. The generator runs out of fuel and the lights go out. With that, the prepper tasks us with heading over to the Spitalfields petrol station to get some fuel. We make our way over to Spitalfields Green where we come across a park that is essentially a minefield. No way was I dealing with the zombies on that, so I lured them out of the park and safely dealt with them. We explore around a little bit where we find the XXL Bob, our final upgrade for the backpack, which unlocks the expanded storage trophy. Continuing on through Spitalfields, we eventually make our way to the petrol station, and inside we find its owner, Vikram. This guy is an absolute complete weirdo. That, and he keeps calling us his son, which is a classic insane guy vibe. He tells us that we can have the fuel, but first we need to get some antibiotics and that we can find some in the nearby nursery. I don't know about you, but antibiotics are not going to fix what's going on in his head. However, we make our way there with relative ease, and once inside we unlock another trophy.
Be careful in there. I saw them get overrun on the CCTV.
Now I have to say the level designers absolutely nailed this location. The quietness of the nursery mixed with the music and how the location looks aesthetically. The odd little jump scare thrown in for good measure makes it quite a scary little experience. We make our way through the nursery where we find a room with a dubious looking floor. More importantly though, we find the antibiotics. After getting the antidote, we go to leave when the floor collapses below us and sends us down into the basement. While trying to escape the basement, we run into another special infected and I absolutely crapped my pants. It was dark, she made scary sounds, and she kept disappearing. And just when I went to check to see if she was dead, this happened.
Oh, there you are.
We eventually escape the nursery, and once we get outside we discover that the door to our exit is locked and we needed to give the prepper some time to hack the lock. This was quite a fight, to be honest. The zombies, I felt, were relentless, like they didn't stop. The special infected just kept spitting at me and the normal infected just continued to come. Luckily, I did have quite a lot of ammo and a decent amount of weapons, so I was able to get through this part, albeit by the skin of my teeth. On our way back to Vikram, we receive an incoming distress call from a woman who asks us to save her from the church on Brick Lane. But let's face it, this 100% sounds like a trap, and to be fair, the prepper even backs me up on that.
Oh, that sounds like a trap if ever I heard one.
We get back to Vikram's where we find him chowing down on his son. Obviously, we kill him and we take his upgrade for our prepper pad, which will allow us to hack the locked fence outside of the petrol station to get the fuel. This also comes in handy a few other times throughout the game, so it's nice to see it had more use than the spiked baseball bat. Now we have the fuel, we headed back to the safe house and refueled the generator. Next, against the prepper's advice, we decide that we are going to fall for this trap and save the girl. We head through the tube until we come out underneath St. George's Church. This area is one massive maze-like structure, although it is pretty easy to navigate. The only annoying thing is that you have to walk along thin walkways and zombies often like to block your path. We eventually find an exit to above ground, and upon going up the ladder, we are knocked out and captured. We wake up in a cage where a budget Boris Johnson is putting on a game show where the so-called contestants have to survive against waves of zombies. Of course, we are one of those contestants. This was actually pretty damn tough and I died quite a few times. There were just so many zombies and you had to use the explosives placed around the arena to take out as many as you can. Otherwise, you'll just end up burning through your ammo and be left with nothing. Of course, I died, which wouldn't have been a big deal if I had stored all of my good weapons away in storage, but I didn't. And if you die here, you permanently lose all of that stuff. So I lost a bunch of my ammo, weapons and first aids here. I was not happy, and after dying multiple times as well, my game decided it wanted to give me this weird visual glitch. It completely impaired my vision at times, and I even tried restarting the game and my console and nothing worked. I'm just convinced they wanted me to like completely stress out at this part. Eventually though, after performing some excellent training and pushing through the blindness, we survived the arena. We do get a decent reward for completing the arena, a new assault rifle and some ammo, so it wasn't too bad, but doesn't make up for like the 3 weapons that I've permanently lost to that section. We head back to the safe house feeling sorry for ourselves, and we unlock the Betrayed trophy for surviving the ambush.
You disappoint me. I thought we were partners.
At this stage of the game, we couldn't progress until we had found all of Dee's letters for Dr. Knight, so we spent the next hour or so making our way back around the map to the areas that still had letters remaining in them. And because I had hacked all of the CCTV junction boxes up until this point, they were relatively easy to track down. We return them to the doctor and head back to the safe house. Back at the safe house, the prepper is pissed that we didn't listen to him and has refused to help us any further, and has gone even as far as to lock some doors just to inconvenience us. What a man. The doctor calls us and tells us, however, that the Panacea he has been working on is almost complete and that we should go to him and grab the formula. With that, we head back to the royal bunker, where we discover that Dr. Knight has decided to go for a little stroll, and we proceed to make our way through the palace with the hopes of tracking him down. Once again, the palace is swarming with zombies, and even tougher ones than before, and again this was a section that was a little bit tough purely down to the amount of zombies there are, but we eventually push through and find the doctor, although he definitely doesn't seem himself. Unfortunately, we had to kill the poor guy again, and to take the piss even more, we took his eyes. But it was for a good cause, so I'm sure he'd be fine with it. After spending about 10 minutes trying to work out how to exit this room, we eventually discover the code for the door, and upon entering the room, we find our final CCTV junction box, unlocking us another trophy. With all CCTV boxes fixed and the doctor's eyes in hand, we made our way down towards the Queen's chambers in the palace underground in order to download the formula for the Panacea. This of course was not as simple as it seemed. There were a lot of zombies again, and I'm just lucky I came through this area at least somewhat prepared, as I could easily see this being a point in the game that can absolutely screw you over. We eventually reach the Queen's chambers and break into a vault, and inside we use the computer to download the formula onto a USB stick. Of course, this sets off an alarm which causes some zombies to head towards us. After taking care of the zombies and giving the computer time to download the formula to the stick, we escape Buckingham Palace, gunning down and running past countless zombies. After reaching the outside, we discover from Sondra that London has been declared a no rescue zone and that firebombing will commence shortly. She tells us that she has time for one more evac and urges us to head back to our safe house, stock up on supplies and head for the evac at the Tower of London. After heading back to the safe house, we grab some supplies, have a quick nap because, you know, we definitely have time for that, and at this point the prepper is furious and tells us that he should have killed us himself. Now right here I was fully expecting a boss fight against the prepper, but no, nothing. He just tells us to get out of his safe house, which, to be fair, was part of the plan to begin with. While heading towards evac, we clear out some zombies in my way and finally unlock the epidemic trophy for killing 100 zombies. Something I'm guessing I would have had much earlier on if I hadn't have died so many times throughout the game. We make it to the station exit and unlock the I Survived trophy for completing the game on standard mode. At this point, we get shown a cutscene of someone of who we presume to be the prepper, ready to begin advising someone else. Let's hope he has better luck this time.
This is the prepper. Do you read me? Over.
After the credits finish rolling, we actually get the chance to finish the story for real this time and actually evac. Now with our first playthrough out of the way, we had 2 more left and 3 more trophies. 2 for completing the game on the other 2 difficulties and 1 trophy for getting 200 kills. Now I needed to complete chicken mode, and I'm not going to spend too long on this here. It honestly was a walk in the park. Enemies didn't do as much damage. I felt like we did slightly more, and seeing as I had just played through the game, I already knew the solutions for a lot of the puzzles, as well as the locations for most of the items that I needed. During this run, I unlocked the pandemic trophy for killing 200 zombies. And of course, when we finished it, we got the baby steps trophy. Now, with one trophy standing in our way between us and the platinum, it was time to take on survival mode. Now, for the most part, it was easy. Sure, the zombies hit a bit harder, but I never really struggled in the beginning sections. I also mastered the art of avoiding all unnecessary combat situations, which saved both my resources and my mental state. It was going so well, and then this happened. You've got to be fucking kidding me. Screw this game, man. I can't right now. An hour absolutely wasted for me to die. What an absolute joke. I'm gonna have to do literally all of that again. I was dreading this part of the game, and clearly that was for good reason. It gave me trouble on standard, and now it had successfully reset all the progress I had spent the past hour making on survival difficulty, and I was absolutely fuming. Now it was time to go all the way back through what we have just done, and this time we actually made it past this area, albeit with sheer luck, and it honestly felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Continuing through hard mode, we eventually come to another area that I was honestly dreading, the ambush at the church. This turned out to be laughably easy. I genuinely thought that this was going to be the cause of yet another death and another run through of the game, but actually turned out to be easier than when I first went through on standard. By this point I had enemy spawns locked down, I used the explosives and ammo wisely, and even found a health kit this time, which helped me out quite a bit. Now, with arguably two of the most hardest sections of the game out of the way, it was time to just push on through to the rest of the game, which was for the most part a breeze. Don't get me wrong, I came close to dying quite a few times, more than what I'd like to admit, but eventually, after a long slog through survival mode, we eventually finish our third and final playthrough of the game. Come on, we're so close now. I can feel it, come on. Platinum trophy, right at this door, come on. There we go, unstoppable trophy. Finished the game in survival mode, and that means we also get the ultimate survivor platinum trophy. Earn every trophy in the game. Oh my god, that was stressful. Very, very stressful. Oh my god, I'm so glad that we have finally got that done and out of the way. I'm happy I don't have to spend any more time running through this game. And with that being the platinum trophy, this brings us to the end of the video. Now, I have to say, I really enjoyed playing through Zombie again. It was set in London for one, which to me will always be a positive, providing it's done correctly, which I feel like they have done here. I wasn't overly attached to the story in any way. I mean, it was alright, but nothing, at least in my opinion, to shout home about. And while it was still quite a linear game in terms of questline, it had multiple game mechanics and aspects that we are typically used to seeing in open world survival horror games, which complemented the gameplay really well, albeit the gameplay was quite janky. And I'm going to end this and say that yes, I would strongly recommend anyone to at least give this game a try. Anyway guys, that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you all have enjoyed the video. If you have and you'd like to see more content like this, then make sure to hit that like button and share this video around. It shows your support, and your support is always appreciated on my channel. And if you haven't already, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on to stay up to date with everything I upload. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next video.